Excuse me.
Hello?
Excuse me. Excuse me. I want to I want to speak to your manager.
You want to speak to the boss?
Yes. The boss. Whoever is in charge here. What is that?
Oh, it's just his health bar. Give it a second. He's kind of extra, so you're gonna hear the cameras doing the thing where they're like zooming out, and it's gonna go further than you think it will. But
Oh no, it's not even symmetrical. It's getting longer on that side.
Yep. It does this weird thing where it wraps for a bit and then sort of realigns itself because it also thinks he's funny, but, this is what you wanted, right?
How recently was there a checkpoint outside here?
I mean, there's tills at the front. There's a checkout if you want to check out.
Just gonna go.
Greetings, strangers, queer and pleasant. I'm not Lorcate Magnet Dale.
And I'm not Jane Aerith Magnet Dale, and welcome to another episode of Queer and Pleasant Strangers. It's a podcast where two queer trans women, that's us, we're wifey types. We have a bit of a catch-up about media we've consumed in the week and do silly voices and skits and have a bit of a silly catch-up together.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm okay. I'm less sleepy than you are. Apparently.
I'm on like day 2 of a 4-day stint of sleepy mode.
Yep.
I'm doing all sorts of work projects that can't talk about for a while, but they involve a lot of things that are not my usual work job on top of my usual work job. So I'm a sleepy bean.
My sleepy little bean.
I'm trying to get my little micro naps in where I can, because I've got to sleep deprive myself just like a little bit this week.
Well, you did manage to get like a couple of minutes in just before we started recording.
I got a little, 5-minute nap in just before recording.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I survive weeks like this, is I just let myself have a little 5 minutes here, a little 10 minutes there.
As a treat.
As a treat, and then I wake up and go, I'm awake, I can record a show. So yeah, what you been playing this week?
What have I been playing? Well, I've been playing a bunch of Spirit Island.
Yeah, this is a board game.
This is a board game.
Yeah.
I think we talked about this probably a couple of years ago.
I feel like many years ago at this point. It was one of the first complicated board games we owned.
Yes.
Yeah. This is a board game about being gods trying to basically go oh hey colonizers, get the fuck out of here.
Kill all the white people simulator.
Yeah. You're trying to invade this island? Let me use my elemental god powers to shove you off of here.
Yeah. And you are basically you are the primal spirits of these islands or series of islands, depending on how you're playing. And yes, it was one of the early games we got, especially one of the early heavy games we got, because I specifically like co-op games because it means that I get to feel like we won together, rather than getting thrashed by your awesomeness on the reg. So, God Spirit Island, I think I played 2 or 3 solo games, and then we played a little bit together. I educated you on how to.
Yep.
And then we put it away, and we hadn't really had much chance to get back to it.
Yeah.
For a number of reasons. But I pulled it out again recently. I was like, you know what, gonna go through, gonna have a look. I found a couple of the expansions on cheap during summer sale stuff. It's like, cool, I'll pick those up. And I had heard that there was stuff in at least the biggest expansion, which comes in a box as big as the base game box.
Interesting.
Yes, I was like, really, you needed to basically get an entire separate game to make the game the best possible game it can be.
Yeah.
Sure. And I started sitting down, looked through it, and I was like, firstly, this manual is badly written.
Yes.
Secondly, even with the, added bits in the big manual from the Jagged Alliance expansion, it's 2 books. The second one is bigger than the first, and it's still very badly written, still tough to organise, and there are still things that are mentioned in the living FAQ which there is a link to in the manual, that hasn't been printed in this version of the game. Like, I think they're on, like, 22 printings now. Like, this game has not gone out of print much. This isn't Gloomhaven, which they do, like, we do a big run once a year, and hopefully you get one if you wanted one. Also, we have a second edition coming soon. There's a bunch of new rules and a whole different thing, and it's pissed a lot of the fan base off for various reasons.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that's a bit weird. Some of the stuff is a bit missing. I spent a decent amount of time on Board Game Geek looking for, like, people's advice and errata and stuff like that. And some people have done nice things, like, here is a quick start guide to the game, like, playing your very first game.
Yes.
Here is how to.
Because we were talking about that rule book yesterday, and
Yes.
the analogy that I tried to throw out that you seem to get, it'd be like, yeah, that's about right, is it's like trying to explain a forest to someone, but rather than just saying it's a big collection of trees, it was trying to describe, like, every individual tree in the forest, and you chimed in with, like, oh yeah, and it's explaining what moss is, and some of the trees have moss
some of the
on.
trees have moss. Now, if you encounter moss, this is how the moss mechanics work.
Yeah, but rather than just giving overview, it's a big area full of trees. They're going to be quite dense.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't give you the big picture before, like, getting way too in the weeds on the specifics.
It tries to do a big picture thing, and it doesn't really work very well.
Yeah.
And then, like, it feels like if Jagged Alliance was going to add in a bunch of extra stuff, it could have gone, okay, here is the revised version of that. Now, don't get me wrong, the back of both manuals does have, like, here is a rough thing that happens in a turn. But that's not enough for you to learn the game on. But it is more than most things follow. Jagged Alliance, the back of the manual, like the quick start on that, does a decent job. But because at that point, half the rules you're looking for are in one manual and the other half are in somewhere else, it feels like if you're going to put that much manual in it and go, this basically supersedes everything that's come before it, why not just make one big manual with everything in it? That would have been much easier to follow. I don't know. But I have been basically thinking the last couple of days, like, I could just write my own simple manual, because for the most part the game is not that difficult to play. You have a hand of cards. Each spirit has, like, their own board. The board starts with, like, a bunch of little tokens on it. You add presents to the board, which will say which will determine, like, how far your powers reach, and sort of, like, bonuses you'll get at the start of every round. So things like, how much energy are you generating? Are you automatically generating certain elements that you can use for things? How many cards can you play per round? Does your spirit have any, like, innate abilities that you can work towards? A lot of the stuff is really reasonably simple, but the game gets so caught up constantly on, let me explain this edge case to you, let me explain this edge case to you. What it doesn't need is, like, one sort of mid-detailed, here is an entire run-through of a turn, and what that entails, and then, like, separately going, okay, here are all the things that might come up as a result of playing a card. We've talked about playing a card, now we're going to talk about, like, the elements of the card and how they work and how that works, and how that interacts with something else. Like, I spent 10 minutes earlier trying to work out exactly how damage is defined. Because sometimes damage is specifically damage from your people to the invaders. Then also you've got damage from the invaders, and at that point it damages the native population, the land itself, and you as a spirit if you are there and they cause blight to be created. But if damage is created through other ways, it's like, okay, so am I gonna, because this is like an automatic thing because of tokens with on that piece of the board, is that also going to damage the land? The answer is no, unless it says specifically. But the fact that I couldn't just go, there's a glossary in the back of the manual, here is how damage is defined, here are the pages it's on. I can do that, but I still had to go through bits and then eventually find the perfect definition in a box out on a separate page.
Huh.
Even when the glossary at the back of the book, or the index at the back of the book, says, here is a thing, here is a definition of a thing, and gives you a little description there and tells you what page to find it on. Like, at one point I was looking for something, it was like, okay, the thing you're looking for is on page 15. So I went to page 15 and it's like, this is just a box out about the thing. For a full explanation of this rule, you need to go to page 17. It's like, why wasn't that as this thing is explained on this page and this page? Or even, because if you're looking for the glossary at the end, surely you just go, this is where you find the full definition of the thing.
It is a tad convoluted, it seems.
It's really convoluted, and it could be simplified, I think. Like, don't get me wrong, I really don't like the route manuals because they look like legalese.
Yeah.
But you can always tell what page to find something on, roughly where it is, and if you look up online and someone goes, oh yeah, the thing you're looking for is this rule thing, you know exactly where to look in the book to find an explanation of what that thing is.
Yeah.
So it's easy to, like, direct people to, it's easy to move around, and I just feel like this game, for something that wants to be that heavy, part of the weight seems to come from the fact that the manual's not at all helpfully written.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm sure there are a lot of edge cases, but you know what? Many, many games go, here is basically how the rules work, here is how the things do, and you know what? If you can't find an explanation for the thing, just go with whatever feels thematically
Or even
correct.
just setting it up like, here's how to play the game, and here's a separate FAQ section where if you're having an edge case situation and you need an answer, look it up here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, come find the edge cases when they become relevant, don't worry about them at first.
100%. And weirdly, like, I played my first game, like, back after a while. I used one of the low complexity spirits out of the core box, and just to refresh my mind on how to play the game, I didn't use any of the, like, here is a cut down version so that you can try and work stuff out and have the, like, most simplified version, because I've played like that before. I think we've only played those rules before.
Yeah.
But weirdly, like, I'd heard people saying that it's actually more difficult to win a game if you're playing with those rules. And I think that's true. Like, weirdly, like, having the Blighted Island cards, especially once you've got, like, a whole selection of them from the expansions, doing the thing from the errata that says add one extra, so you add, like, 2 Blight tokens to the island card at the start of the game per player, and then you just add +1. Because they worked out mathematically that the numbers don't scale well. So the numbers are like, they work out like usable blight, like the blight that can come off the card before it starts to cause a massive problem per player. And it's like, in 4 player, per player, it's like 2.03. But in single player, using the base amounts, it's something like 1.5.
Huh.
It's like, or possibly even less, it might be 1.3. It's really low. I was like, okay, well, that's good to know that they just went, the thing that solves it is just adding 1 after the original number. But why is that not printed in the new manual? Because apparently the Jagged Alliance manual has to keep up with the later printings of Branch and Claw, which is the first expansion. But why not just have new versions of Branch and Claw that have the correct
This seems like
rulings,
such a
rather than going
nonsense.
to the next one and going, oh yeah, all 22 printings of Branch and Claw rulebook are wrong in this way, and this manual will correct it. But that is...
It feels like such a convoluted non-solution.
Yeah, it really does. And it feels like it'd be worked out. That said, I love the new event system. It adds like a lot of swings in different directions. Like it's thematically quite interesting. So basically, you usually have the spirit phase where you gain stuff from the top of your board. You get any sort of income stuff. You play any cards that you want to play, and you get you pay for those actions with the energy that you've generated.
Yeah.
Then you do any fast actions. That is, so some things run really fast. That was quite a cool thing. And any slow actions, you can put like reminder tokens on the board for what you planned to do with them, but apart from that, they do not trigger. Then you move into the invader phase, and that is or is now, pull an event card, read the event from top to bottom, do as much of it as you can. Anything that doesn't apply, doesn't apply. Nice and simple.
Yep.
Then you move on to this. Then you do fears, any fear cards that you've earned.
Mm-hmm.
You do anything written on that, and then the invaders will ravage in a place, which means they will attack the land, the native inhabitants, and you yourself if you have any presence there.
Yeah.
Then they will build in wherever they explored last round,
Yeah.
and then they will explore. And then next round, they'll ravage where they built, they'll build where they explored, and they'll explore somewhere completely different. So you can kind of plan ahead a little bit.
Yeah.
And then your slow actions happen, and basically you can go, well, I knew roughly what was going to happen during the invader phase. I made plans for that. Now this card is good for that. And you might have like specific powers on your board that will do some slightly different things, or that will only apply specifically to you. Or you'll have like a unique thing, like one of the lightning gods, like has no slow actions really. As long as they as long as they're generating purple elemental power, which I think is air, they will constantly be able to just go, oh, this is going to act fast, this is going to act fast, which means they have a lot more mobility on the board, which is good. And then time passes. Any damage that was dealt in the last round that didn't kill anyone will just be removed, and you'll just start the whole process again.
Mm-hmm.
It's really easy, really simple. I have not lost a game since trying this, and I have tried regular game with the Blighted Island cards as it should be. I've tried with a scenario and an adversary, so making it way more difficult than it can be. And quickly, one other thing I just want to mention about this. I really like this game, first of all. But also, they've added these aspect cards in a bunch of the expansions.
Mm-hmm.
They are little bits that you can shove over the 4 base game low complexity spirits to just slightly edit them.
Okay.
Like, it'll be like say, for example, the Lightning God. You can have a card that will increase the complexity, and it just completely changes what their innate power is. It's no longer, if you have purple energy, you can do a slow action fast. Yeah. It's now like a whole set of things that you can do, and then your innate powers are also like completely changed. And you can add some of them, or a couple of them, and there's like some cards for all 3 of the base game low complexity spirits, potentially making them much more difficult. And it's nice that you can just go, here's the thing, you've learnt it, now, new player that I am teaching, if you want to go with a spirit you know, we can make it more powerful and do stuff like that. It's got some good ideas, but the manual is horribly written.
Yeah.
What about you? What have you played?
It's been a week of playing a lot of stuff I can't talk about for a while, but I can talk about one thing I've played this week.
You?
And it's funny, we started this show talking about how sleepy I am this week, how I gotta sneak naps in whenever I can.
Yeah. Oh, is this you grinding for shinies?
Yes.
I see.
So, this week, I definitely am spending a couple of days in Canada or New Zealand or Australia, wink, wink, because there is currently a 3-day beta going on for Pokémon Sleep in select regions that I'm definitely within and didn't find a way around. So yes, for anyone who's not aware, Pokémon Sleep was advertised originally, I think 3 years ago.
Something like that.
As a sleep health app / Pokémon game. And I'm just gonna say up front, I am using this with the full knowledge that the only reason this game exists is in order to harvest and sell my sleep data for some sort of purposes. I'm sure that there is someone benefiting off of collecting data about my sleep, and I am going in, acknowledging that being what it is.
I'd say eyes wide open, but it's all about sleeping.
Exactly. Look, if I played multiple years of Pokemon Go in which, my physical location in the world was being constantly tracked and sold off, I feel like I can be okay with what time I fell asleep and woke up. I think
and that's why they know you're in Canada or New Zealand, because they use your Pokemon Go data.
Well, I mean, exactly. So yeah, Pokemon Sleep. So, here's the gist of it. there is a Pokemon professor. He wants to research Pokemon sleeping habits. The best way to do that is for you to synchronize your sleep schedules with the Pokemon or some such nonsense. So...
With your sleep schedule?
Yeah, apparently.
Oh, heck.
So you tell the game, like, what time... Like, on average, what time do you want to have gone to bed by? And my work schedule is wild. So I put 2 a.m. in. I was like... Because you get a little bonus in-game if you go to sleep by or before your the thing that you've set as, like, this is roughly my bedtime. And most nights I'll get to bed before 2 a.m. You know, maybe...
Bed, at least.
Maybe
I'll, not asleep.
Maybe I'll shuffle that to 2:30. Give me some wiggle room on Dice Funk nights. Yeah, but the general gist is that you put there is a peripheral that will at some point soon exist, but currently doesn't exist. So currently, here's what you got to do. When you go to sleep, you press on the thing like, I'm gonna start sleeping now, and you put the game on your phone with the game on, plugged in, you know, so it's charged, on your mattress, so it can sort of sense you, you know, tossing and turning, and hear sounds when you make sounds and whatnot. Right. And then you put it face down, not on lock screen, face down on your mattress. Right. The game will turn the screen off, so it's not, like, running the screen, but apparently, like, putting it in lock screen would stop it data collecting or whatever. Right. And you tell it what time you want to get up, and it what it wants to do is one of those alarms that's like, because it's registering how deep of a sleep you're in, it's like, do you want to have a bit of wiggle room around that alarm time? So if it's like, let's say 20 minutes before then, but you are in a light phase of sleep.
Yeah, I used to know a guy with a watch that did this thing.
Yeah.
It's like, I can tell where your sleep pattern is.
Yeah, which...
if we're waking you now, you won't feel exhausted when you wake up.
And honestly, that aspect of it did work really well. It happened this morning. It woke me up about 10 minutes before, like, I'd told it to, and I woke up and was like, I don't feel like I've been wrenched out of sleep. Which was like, go you. Here is what I learned about my sleep from Pokemon Go last night. I slept for 6.5 hours. Yep. About 6.5 hours. That sounds about right. Found some Mareeps and some Wobbuffets. We'll get to them in a second. Apparently of that, an hour and 20 minutes I was lightly dozing. About 4 hours of it I was what the game calls snoozing. And an hour or so of it I was slumbering, which is like the deepest kind of sleep.
How does it know? How is it not affected by my also sleeping in the same bed?
I don't know. I'm going to assume it's because, like, you are far enough across the bed that you are making less of an impact on bed movements. I don't know. Well,
it's the power of memory foam.
But it gave me a rating of 75 out of 100, and from what I can tell, that's largely because I got less than 8.5 hours sleep, which this game considers, like, what I should be getting. The game's like, hey, if you want to get a good score, get a full 8 to 8.5 hours sleep in the night. And I'm like...
8.5 hours?
Yeah.
It's 8.5 hours sleep.
I'm like, video game, you're overestimating me. I'm never going to get 100% on this. It also registered it took me 20 minutes to get to sleep, which sounds about right for last night. Took me about 20 minutes to properly nod off.
I mean, yeah, there was cuddling and listening to Empty Bowl and...
Yeah. It was about 20 minutes, I think, for failing to stay awake enough to help you with the Sudoku and then roll over and then not quite get to sleep and then get to sleep. And then in the morning, some Pokemon had appeared based on the kind of sleep I'd had. There was a Wobbuffet with lipstick on. There was like a couple of different kinds of Mareep that slept different ways. A Charmander.
I couldn't tell if you got the Charmander, if the Charmander was just visiting.
The Charmander is, I think, the only one that's going to stick around. The Charmander, I gave it some biscuits that were shaped like, I think, like a Pokeball, and now it's my friend, and it stays around. It's gonna help me look after all the other Pokemon or something. So I think you have a limited number of, like, biscuits you can give to Pokemon in the morning that have come to visit, and then those ones will stick around and they're in your Pokemon collection now. Okay. And the other ones get registered in your sleep decks. But there's also, like, there are some mechanics to, like, do during the day, which I, like, hadn't quite anticipated. So, like, morning, midday, and evening, you can make meals for your Snorlax, which will change the kind of Pokemon that will get sort of summoned to your park at night.
Is this about proper nutrition or something?
Maybe it seems to be to do with, like, each Snorlax has, like, a particular type of meal it likes, and you're collecting ingredients from the Pokemon that have stuck around during the day to cook it meals, and if it likes the meals, better Pokemon will come and visit you at night.
And if it doesn't, Ghastly's only.
Like, Pokemon will collect you berries, and you can sort of do stuff with those. There seems to be some things happening.
Okay.
I can already see where some of the monetization's going to be.
Right.
So, the game is very insistent to tell you when you first boot it up, you can do everything for free, nothing needs money, you can do everything for free, nothing needs money.
Get our premium sleep pass, and we won't keep vibrating your phone randomly next to your head.
I mean,
to wake you back up
you joke about that. I
it.
think there is a premium sleep pass. I'm trying to find where it was. Okay, so there's a shop section. Let me find it. There's the general shop, and then the premium exchange.
I see. So you can do ranked competitive snoozing.
Yeah, so there is some kind of premium currency, I think, but there's also, where was it? There was a thing that was like it seemed like it was going to be like a battle pass or something.
Having a sleep off.
It's got the obligatory,
Having a doze off, it should have been a doze off.
It's got the obligatory, like, premium currency that you can buy in ridiculous quantities. Even in this demo, the beta, you could buy 7,000 diamonds for $149.
Naturally.
There is the EZZZZZ travel ticket. I can't remember where the other thing was. There was something that looked like it was like a bonus battle pass of some kind. I don't understand currently why I would need to spend money on this, and I feel like you don't need my money, you're buying my sleep data. There's also multiplayer, and I don't know why the idea of having people on a friends list on this weirds me out so much. The idea of other people knowing when I fell asleep and woke up feels weirdly intimate. That's my info. You don't need to know how long it took me to get to sleep. I don't want to get a random text from someone who I'm friends with in Pokémon Sleep going,
like, are you okay? You never fucking sleep.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you went to bed a bit late last night and it took you like 45 minutes to get to sleep. Well, you have a rough night. I'm like, you don't need to know that. That's for me. But yeah, I fell asleep and I caught a Charmander and I saw some cute Mareep, and look, I can't deny I think this is kind of an adorable Trojan horse for stealing my personal data. As programs designed to steal my personal data go, this one's pretty cute and wholesome. And look, I know exactly that I have been suckered by it, but there was like 2 different kinds of snoozy Mareeps I saw last night.
Right.
I got to see different kinds of Mareeps. There was Newsy. Yeah.
Some of them were like little loafy sheep, and some of them were like little just lying down sheep. And there was like a standing sheepy.
There was, what were the names? There was Fluffy Sleep, which was sort of curled up on the floor like a little kitty cat. And there was Pawning Sleep, where it was stood up but sort of wobbling left and right a little bit as it sort of dozed.
I think that one was making biscuits, and the other one is like a little pizza cat.
Yeah. So yeah, it's stealing my personal data, but like it did wake me up in a like not wrenching me out of sleep way this morning, and I got to wake up to a Charmander. So like, I can't complain about it. I
mean, you could, but you're not going to.
I'm not going to.
Yeah.
Again, I could. What about you? You played anything else this week?
Played some more Planet Crafter. There's been an an update.
This is that, like, terraforming space video game.
Yeah, you start on a barren orange rock. There's no liquid water. There's no life at all, really.
Yeah, and you gotta get it survivable.
Yeah, submissive and breathable. And eventually, if you sort of press through the game, you can start finding liquid water, and more areas will open up because, like, these blocks of ice will melt and let you through. And I have enjoyed, like, I've started this game like 3 times, I think, from scratch.
Yeah.
Something like that. I have been very much enjoying that. I played a whole bunch on stream, and basically, it was like they've introduced a whole new thing, like amphibians. I didn't play when the amphibians update was done, so I had all that to experience, and they have just added space trading. So, don't really know what's going on. First of all, found Forg. You find little, little rock pools, basically, around the map, usually near wet places, and there'll be, like, a couple of little frogs in there, and a little bit of frog spawn, and it's like, hey, you take the frog eggs, and you put them in your machine, and you can make fancier frog eggs.
Ooh.
So I did that. I made some fancy frog eggs. I got a bunch of very adorable neon
blue frogs.
Yeah, little neon blue frogs. They are adorable. They look like if I touched them, I would be having a lovely time for at least 6 to 8 hours. There are, there's a new butterfly farm, which means that you can put 2 types of butterfly in it, and they will spread over a much larger area. So I have been sort of going around replacing all my old butterfly farms, which has been nice. Oh yeah, so there's been a whole plot where you keep going into different areas and finding these things called warden keys.
Okay.
And the warden keys, many of them will have like a set of coordinates on them. So you squirrel yourself off to where that set of coordinates is.
Yeah.
And you basically keep finding little things like remains of other people who lived here, possibly a civilization. And there's a whole plot going on, but I don't want to spoil it. And there is a way through the big scary giant door that led nowhere for most of the first few versions of the game. And I have just found like a whole other place that needs 5 keys to get through, but I haven't properly explored it because I only found it at the end of the last stream. Game is still a bit buggy because I was trying to follow the coordinates. I thought I was getting in the right direction. I hopped over some rocks. Apparently I should not have hopped over those rocks because I came to the place I was trying to get to from below the map where half of the things weren't rendered properly, and then I kind of got stuck in there because in all of these sort of plot relevant places, it keeps turning off my jetpack. So I was like, I'm not going to be able to get back out of here, am I? Luckily I did find a way. So I managed to escape back and then find the correct entrance to the area. And it's a fascinating bit of world. I'm excited to find more plot for that area. Bits of it are quite sad. Don't want to spoil it, but and then as I got back to my base for the first time after that happening, I have found that a bunch of crates had just landed on my base. And they were filled with, like, space trading credits. So I guess at some point now I will start doing whatever that is. Yeah. It's nice to get back in. I do feel like I'm probably only like a couple of more major updates to the game before I'm just like, I'm going to start the whole thing again and see all the things.
And I'm glad you're still feeling that way
still
about
loving
it.
My only real gripe was I found these big sphere things for a tier 2 aquarium previously. Basically a person-sized water aquarium, like the height of a person standing and a bit, plus the height of a person lying down and a bit, which usually fits like 2 types of fish in. And now there are like these big biodome things that you can submersed in water, and they will hold up to 4 different types of fish. The fish look very cool in there, but no sooner had I built my 3rd one of those and planning to start moving all my fish around, I unlocked the a fancy fish farm that basically just lets you put fish straight into water without needing to put them in aquariums. And it's less resources and produces more animals in less time. So it's like, oh well, those 2 things were maybe a bit close together, but again, maybe that's because I had a bunch of terraforming points already and a bunch of other stuff I had already unlocked. But loving the butterflies, loving the fishes, I am loving the frogs, and I am hoping to see what happens next and the rest of the sad and weird plot. What about you? You played anything else?
The only other thing I played is I kept chipping away at The Binding of Isaac. There is only one ending left for me to get, the final ending, and I am not sufficiently talented enough to get it yet, but I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it.
Not sufficiently talented?
Yeah, I gotta get good.
Oh, you gotta get good.
Yeah, I do not have the talents required to, reliably beat the boss before. I don't know what the final boss is yet. I know that the one before it is Mom's Corpse, which I think I've only beaten once, and that is I think the only time I beat that boss was the time where I got the Pyromania and the Kamikaze in the same run, where explosions caused me to regain health, and I could press the active item button at any time to blow up, dealing damage to the enemy and healing myself because of the Pyromania. I think that's the only time I've beaten that boss. So I gotta beat that boss and then another boss to see the end of this game, so not much to report other than I'm continuing to chip away and I've almost beaten the final boss of The Binding of Isaac.
Any idea how you're doing for, like, unlocks and stuff?
I don't know. There's probably a bunch of them I still gotta get, but I'll work that out once I've beaten the final boss once, then I'll look at other stuff.
I mean, I imagine you found a decent amount of it just playing through anyway?
Just through sheer force of will, I've stumbled upon a good chunk of it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you played anything else this week?
Played a bit more Binding of Isaac, finally got through a greed mode. And now I have unlocked Lilith, and I'm really enjoying playing as Lilith.
Yes.
I like all the friends.
Lilith is particularly fun in greed mode, because of how long you can get all of the buddies to stick around.
Yeah.
But yes, Lilith's whole deal is duplicated, like, you have little friends that fire things, and then you can use an item to duplicate them.
Yeah, and you just seem to just acquire more of them generally. It does feel like stuff just happens, you just get more of those things. But yeah, really enjoying playing through with Lilith. So
yeah, Lilith is fun.
We played anything else?
Nothing we can talk about. We'll talk about stuff soon, probably. Well then, time for this. Are you struggling with the sheer number of social media platforms you're currently expected to keep track of?
I'm a creator and I have to be on all of them, otherwise people won't watch my shit.
Introducing One Social, the website that will aggregate all of your social media feeds into one. It functions in such a way that it feels like you're using only one social media platform.
Yay!
And not the 8 Twitter competitors you're currently trying to juggle.
One Social. 'Cause that's all the social I've got left, I'll be honest.
Get rid of the stress of trying to juggle way too many tabs to keep up with the world.
Thank you, One Social.
Is that a tweet in my feed? Is it a Mastodon? What were they called? Toot? Is it a thread? Who knows? I'll see it anyway.
Some of it might even be moderated.
Do you like ordering in?
Yeah.
Do you have that one place that you really like that one thing they make?
Yeah.
Do you really like it exactly the same way every time?
Yes.
Do you hate it when people change it for a new and improved recipe?
It's never improved.
Come on down to Repeat Eat. It's the food delivery service that will get you the perfect same food every single time. Your order will be exactly the same. We promise we won't improve the recipe. We won't add random whey powder or take it out every 6 months. It's just exactly the thing you like, whenever you want it, for exactly as long as you need. Eat, repeat. Because regular changes for underwear and neurotypicals.
Thanks, Repeat Eat.
Repeat Eat. It's the same food every time.
So, what have you put in your eyes?
Not a lot this week, but we did watch at least one, very notable thing this week. Don't give any of your money to Disney. They're a terrible, evil, horrible corporation. But occasionally they stumble into something worthwhile. And this time, it is the animated anthology series,
Kizazi Moto, Generation Fire.
Kizazi Moto, Generation Fire. My brain just failed to complete that word there for a second. So yeah, how would you describe Kizazi Moto?
It is a anthology, an Afrofuturist anthology series, and like many beautifully animated anthology series, we sat there, we watched it, and we went, "I want a full season of that. I want a full season of that. I want a full season of that."
Yeah. It's one of the stronger anthologies I've watched in a while. I don't think there was a single miss in it. There was no short in it I would go, this one was a bit of a dud.
There were some that were like, I felt like it told the whole story, and that is
Yeah.
probably the only reason why I wouldn't go more of that. But at the same time, would want more from the writers, more from that animation studio. We had Herder Boy, which was the first episode, which was about the herding weird future
Yeah.
oxen that, when
So-
they feed, they grow these crystals.
Yeah, so you have to find areas that have, like, grass and vegetation to feed these cyber animals so that they grow crystals, which seem to be the power source in that world. But there is some interesting stuff going on with, like,
Spirits.
yeah, evil rogue enemy robot animals.
Evil robot jackal things.
Yeah.
That
it's-
also spirits that eat the cow.
Yeah, what if being a shepherd involved occasionally having to fight off like a cyber wolf?
Yes. And the three primary shepherds are, like, really interesting.
Yeah.
You've got one that's like a robot, and the older sister of the main character, who's just like, "You're too young to be out here." It's like, "No, I got my thing. I mean, it's a bit amateur. I got the thing. I'm gonna do the thing. I will protect this one small cow."
Yeah.
And ultimately was kind of instrumental to the whole thing.
I really liked how that story managed to keep the sort of themes of a shepherd caring about every single one of their flock. Keep that making sense in a setting where your flock is robots. Like,
I can't tell if they were entirely robotic. But...
entirely possible that's not the case, but it certainly, I was impressed at how well, like, they made that work in a sort of techno setting.
And for something that's like 12 minutes long, I think they did an amazing job of establish worlds, establish, like, lore around the world,
Yeah.
and the way it works, establishing the characters so that you cared about them, that you understood some of their humour and stuff.
Yeah.
And, yeah, that was really good, enjoyed that. Next one was,
Makuzi the Spirit Racer.
That was beautiful.
Fucking incredible.
I would love a whole series of that.
Yeah, for anyone who's ever watched anything animated by Studio Trigger, who did Promare, Kill la Kill, that sort of thing, this is tonally and stylistically very similar, but in its own... It definitely leans a bit more into things moving at very high speed while doing that sort of very colourful neon flame type of animation style. Fucking gorgeous. I've never seen a studio, like, step toe-to-toe with Studio Trigger, like, this effectively. But, like, it's so fucking good, this.
Oh, yes.
Oh, it's fucking gorgeous.
Beautiful. The next one was...
Oh, should we say anything about what that one was about?
What that one was about? It was about a kid who wants to do, like, the illegal street racing thing, basically.
He's got to do pod racing against an alien to stop his little village being taken over.
Being purchased by a capitalist who's like,
Yeah.
I just want to rematch your mother, was it?
Grandmother, I think, or
yeah.
your older female relative. And it's like, no, I'm gonna steal the pod racer and we're gonna have a cool alien street race. And then shit gets wild.
Shit does get wild.
That is one where I'm like, I would so take a series of that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, like, I would watch that entire league. I would watch that as, like, random and like, it feels very anime in the whole sort of, like, the protagonist who's very different from everyone else wants to do the one particular skill, has their anime rival.
I think I said this at the time, but I would totally take a series that was like, this is the pilot episode, and then you time skip forward like 15 years, and he has been training that whole time, ready for the day that, like, the story continues, and, like, jumping in from there. Like, I feel...
I'd even take it starting from, like, the following week when he's like, Mum's accepted that he can do the thing after winning the race, but now he's got to get through all the leagues and try and get to the level where he's allowed to, like, recompete again.
Yeah, I mean, you could do... I feel like you could do the time skip, and then a lot of that is, like, flashback episodes
you
of,
can
like,
do that too.
telling it through, but, like, however you did it, I would love to see this fleshed out
Oh, yeah.
into a full thing.
Yes, beautiful art, beautiful pacing, like, the way that episode handled speed was fantastic.
Yes, its sense of momentum was unrivaled. Then there was Moremi, which was a really big change of pace. It was a lot more. I don't know how to describe it.
It's so you have like it's so you have this spirit child who is seemingly being raised by a possibly a clockwork or robot bird, and it tells him stories and seems to like educate him about stuff. And then next thing you know, there's these snarling spirit, god-eating spirit, or was it soul-eating spirits or something?
Yeah.
And they are like a fantastic design, and they're just sort of just this seemingly completely unstoppable force. No matter what you put against them, they can keep coming. And it seems like they basically found their way to this kid's little hideout by following this woman who apparently has jumped dimensions to try and rescue this kid.
It's, for something that starts so action-packed, it ends very soulfully, and I think that it does a really good job of, like, making its core, like, human interaction feel like a really earned conclusion to something that started with such a sort of supernatural action premise.
Yes. Like, I think it beautifully blends that sort of, folktale with, like, futurist cyber type stuff.
Yes.
Because, like, he's slightly unusual in the way he moves and stuff. He's also got this, like, heart plug thing that seems to power stuff or be a source of some sort of energy. And you're just like, okay, we've only got 12 minutes, I'll just accept whatever that is.
It uses technology as a vehicle to tell a sort of more traditional story.
And then also, like, at one point intersperses with, like, we're gonna tell this story like it's, and it's the kind of story that you might expect from, like, this is a story of legend.
Yes.
Like a story that is told and, like, passed down from generation to generation.
Almost like sort of passed down like a fable.
Like your fables, your sagas, your ancient Greek heroes, all of that sort of the history of human storytelling type thing. And the way that it does that sort of flashback story in what in a different show might easily have been like Shadow Puppets or something. And then sort of goes into maybe it wasn't that long ago, and we're still talking about, like, this is a thing that involved possibly the gods being pissed off for one reason or another, and these spirits, while also very much going like cybernetics and stuff.
Yeah. Complete change of tone after that. We've got Surf Sangoma.
This was the one with the drug octopus and the surfing.
Yes, a world where surfing is very dangerous, and if you want to do it, you probably need to stick an octopus on your face that will put drugs in you.
But also, if you fall in the water, you'll probably be completely covered in drug octopi, and
to
maybe that's bad?
Yeah, I'm guessing you OD and drown. And it is following I think grandson of a famous surfer who is afraid to go back in the water
because grandma died.
Yeah, and again,
this gang are like basically harassing him for the grandma's circle.
that gang of surfers are so genuinely intimidating and terrifying. Like, design and, like, just their whole demeanour is perfectly unsettling.
And the weird, like, octopus sucker prints on their faces from where they've clearly, where they've clearly been abusing octopus.
I would hesitate to say that I know many things that do as effective a job of making, like, a group of villains feel as scary as this does this quickly.
Yes. Yeah, and it goes pretty dark.
Yeah?
Like, it is like, someone might die here.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I think again, it's another one with, like, beautiful speed and motion, and the characters in that were fascinating and terrifying in a way that felt believable.
Then we had First Totem Problems.
Yes. Which
feels very much like you condensed a Pixar film down into 12 minutes.
It really does.
If you put this alongside, say, Coco or Inside Out, it's very much that kind of narrative arc, with a bit of a twist on sort of what, like, the thing it's trying to tell, told in a very concise way.
Yes, and I think Coco is a very good analogy for this, because it is very much about, like, family and family history and...
Yeah, expectation of lineage.
Yep, and just, like, the kind of in squabbling you can get in a family. They love each other very much, but, like, they perhaps each want to do things in their own particular way. And again, that can be in a way that a family have married together, or two families have married together, and at some point you've got maybe an auntie and an uncle who are like, no, we do things in the tradition of my family, no, we do things in the tradition of my family, and I think it captured that very well, while you have this very independent child who's like, I'm just gonna try and do the best I can. Oh, I'm in the afterlife now. Well, I guess I best have to sort things out with my ancestors.
Yes,
hijinks ensue.
Yeah, Coco and Encanto both sort of tonally came to mind a bit in the vibes of how this deals with family.
Yeah.
We got a few more. There was Mukudzi, which was about the kid doing graffiti on the fancy monument, and then everything goes a bit sideways.
Yes.
I don't know how much I want to say about this one.
Same.
This is one where I feel less able to describe the premise without, in some way, lessening it.
What if your TikTok influencer was planning to try and dethrone #1 best streamer Rastacat, was willing to go and deface a memorial?
Yeah.
Or was it a memorial? I can't remember. What
it was the ruins of an old... I think it was ruins of old Zimbabwe?
Yes, something like that.
But yes, I don't want to ruin where it goes, but it was, like... It was really wholesome.
Mm-hmm.
Despite, like...
Also that hilarious moustache.
Yes. Yes, I've never seen a better animated shitty teenage moustache than this.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking hate the protagonist up until I'm like, actually, okay, you're right. He is lovably insufferable.
I get it.
Yeah. Then there was Hatima, which was fucking phenomenal.
I think that is the one. No, I'm not gonna say things, but it is there are the people of the sea, and they have like this magic water thing,
sort of magic light source under the water that they use for healing.
Yes, and then there is the overground people, and one of them has been trying to steal some of this stuff that... Hang on, didn't we just see this underwater a few minutes ago? And like trying to do experiments with it and like growing supersized plants. Yeah. But then you've got... I can't remember if it was probably a parent, but like an elder in a position of power who was just like, nope, you done naughty bad. And then she's like, don't worry, I've got more of the stuff, ha ha ha, and goes for a swim in it.
Yes.
She's clearly not well.
Yes.
But not because she's willing to go bathing in light stuff.
Yeah. Again, this one I really don't want to say too much about because it goes some places, but this is, I think, of everything in the anthology, the one that's going to stick with me. Like, as much as Makuzi, the Spirit Racer, was, like, phenomenal to look at and very cool and very exciting.
Yes.
This is the one that, like, felt like it had something to say, and it told the story it was telling in metaphor very clearly, and, like, it didn't stray too far from what it was trying to get across.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the story it told had very clear parallels that, like, I think resonate really well.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is, like, it is a gut punch how effective this narrative is, and, like, if I was only going to be able to show one of these to someone, if I had to pick one of these to be like, this is the one I show people, this might be it. Not because it's the most impressively animated, the coolest, and it's not one I would, like, unlike the Spirit Racer one, which I would love to see made into a series, wouldn't necessarily want more of this.
No, I think this is the most complete story of all of them. And I mean, you could say that the third one was also very complete, but I think this one is like the most complete story and beautiful and
not even
sad.
And not even complete in a traditional sense. It's not like you see the story through to its conclusion, it's just the way that it ends. I don't need to see where it goes.
Yeah.
Like, it told as much of the story as it needed to tell, and it's okay to step away.
And also, I think that anything beyond that isn't the most interesting part of that story.
Yeah. Then there's Stardust, which is about an outcast. I get the impression she's like a homeless girl, who manages to get to an oracle who's giving out people's prophecies of their destinies, and goes, "Hey, I would like a destiny, please. I would like a prophecy." And
the oracle's like,
yeah, gives her a scroll, and the scroll opens, and there's nothing in it. And she's like, "Hey, I don't like that. I'm coming to find you.
Yep.
You've got to give me a destiny. I deserve a destiny."
Yeah. It is a fascinating story that seems to be covering a lot of things, and it's a story about the people who maybe just need a little nudge. Like,
yeah,
it doesn't really matter what you suggest. They're just gonna go and do a thing. But there are some people who need to work their shit out for themselves. And that's quite important. And also, like, the importance of somebody recognising that about you, and you having to learn that on your own.
I think this one was perhaps I know perhaps about it, the most predictable as to where it was going, but that didn't mean that the execution wasn't superb. Like, the execution carried the perhaps predictable endpoint.
Yes. And also the creature in it, the blue rhinoceros dinosaur thing, was
the one that looked like
adorable.
it had a diamond that you would attach to a blade in Tears of the Kingdom as its horn. Yeah,
it looked adorable.
We're nearly done.
Yeah.
We've got You Give Me Heart, which was the one about the guy becoming the new god of creativity.
Oh yes, so likes and favourites. In a world, it's a popularity contest for gods.
I always love anything that leans into gods as people with personalities, often whom are a bit vindictive, or like who have traditionally negative connotation personality traits.
I mean, it's a lot of the like traditional stories of gods. Like Greek gods, you had a lot of jealousy, a lot of fucking pagan gods. You've got a lot of singing and fucking and partying.
Well, that's it. It makes me think of like your sort of pantheons of trickster gods and gods that just go fucking everything and then being spiteful. It's got like a modern version of that I think works quite well. It was really fun, this one.
It was really fun. It was quite sweet in places.
Yeah.
And again, don't really want to spoil too much of it.
It was another that felt pretty complete as a narrative.
And I think it managed to capture the whole concept of the pantheon of gods that are clearly very human created.
Yeah.
In that there's the jealousy and all the other sort of typical interactions of your classic pantheon. But also bringing that into making it a modern tale about popularity contests and the you present to the world and how that can be exhausting and that like chasing for likes and faves and followers and prayers. Mm-hmm. And I think that did a great job of sort of combining those things.
Yeah.
And then the last one?
The last one is Inkai, which was a really interesting place to end.
Yes.
It was it was a story that did not end the story itself or the anthology where I thought it would, and I really liked that.
Yes.
It felt like a really unexpected, nice end cap.
Yes. I don't want to say too much about this one, especially anything beyond like the first half of it.
Yeah.
Because I think its impact relies quite heavily in that. But it is primarily the story of a what you might initially understand to be, like, just a child
Yeah.
who's having, like, fairy stories read to them by their mum, and mum has to go out and work.
Yeah.
But beyond that, there is also, like, maybe it wasn't just a fairy story.
Yeah.
The child is, like a demigod or
there's
child of a god.
very early on, it's clear that there is some magic going on. There is a little animated
Owl?
wooden cat that is animated in a different frame. I'll say this much: animated at the brought to life sort of wooden cat is animated at a different frame rate to everything else in a much more stop motion style. And that effect works really well. That's a really nice touch of the animation in it.
Also, the lighting in that one is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
But it is telling a story of a child who's been sort of left alone with all the
Yeah.
powers of creativity, and meanwhile there is something terrible going on outside.
Yeah. I think there are going to be some people who hate the ending to this one.
Really?
I think there will be people who feel that, like, they have... I don't know how much to say
Again,
about this.
I would love to
Yes.
discuss it at some point, but I think
yeah.
more people should go watch it first.
Yeah. In a couple of weeks, maybe we come back. But,
Maybe.
like, I really love the ending to this, but I feel like
Yes.
there are some people who will feel like it sidesteps the ending that they felt they needed. And I get that, but to those people
I would say that's
say...
quite entitled.
I agree. I very much agree, but, like, it's the only one of these where I'm like, I think most people could watch these and generally agree this is fantastic. I think that is the one, if anything, in this that might divide some people. And that is a shame, because I think it is they made a wonderful
I think it's a
choice.
beautiful story, and I cannot say why I think those people can fuck off.
I think they can fuck off as well, but, like, that's the
I
one,
say more around
I
that.
find that one interesting.
Yeah. Kizazi Moto Generation Fire. Go watch it, go talk about it, because
Yeah.
Disney aren't fucking doing anything to advertise it.
Yeah.
Which is shit.
Yeah.
Because it's a good Afrofuturist anthology, it's beautiful animation, and it is just, beautiful to get a bunch of black creators together and go, hey, we're gonna do a thing, and we're gonna, tell stories that aren't all the USA good and the USA saves the world and white people are all the good peoples and things, and we have to dumb everything down or make sure that there's, like, everyone has to understand everything. The fact that, like, there's some things where they'll just, like, random, like, they'll be, like, predominantly the story will be in English, but, like, then you'll get, like, bits in Swahili.
Yeah.
And, bits in Zulu.
Yep, and it just you won't be handheld through it. It just happens, and that's that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a fantastic anthology. Can't recommend it highly enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You watch anything else?
That's it really for me this week.
We
It's
caught
not
up with a
been
bit of Amphibia, but I can't say that it's more Amphibia. We enjoyed it.
continuing to enjoy it. I'm enjoying seeing that sort of progress towards its end point, but also anyone watching Amphibia, very much enjoy it, but it really does go, we'll give you, like, one bit of moving towards the plot for, like, one episode, and then side story for, like, another 6.
Yeah, it
is-
does. It's Naruto's real hard.
It is real reluctant to do more than one episode in a row progressing the main plot.
It feels like yes, there are little things that are set up in pretty much every episode that eventually comes to something else or expands something. But it feels like you could do a cut of, especially season 3 of Amphibia, that's probably 45 minutes long.
Yeah.
And tells, like, all the most important bits of that story.
Yeah, I think the best example of this is we were watching an episode recently, and without going into too much specifics, there are 3 gems, and we have to go take them to places to do things with them. And they do the first one, and then it's like, should we go do the second one right now? No, we'll go do it tomorrow morning. And then, like, 2 or 3 episodes of not going and doing that tomorrow morning happen.
Yeah.
Like, they explicitly set up, we'll get some rest and we'll go get right back out on this. And then they go do other things.
Yeah.
the narrative is not consistent about the urgent pace of the mission sometimes.
It really feels like they went, we've got an idea, and we reckon we can wrap it up in 2 seasons, and then Disney went, Season 1 was very good and people loved it, now make 4 or 5 more, because we want more of the money, please.
They did that and then went, wait, actually no, we've changed our mind, end it sooner.
Was this another one of the polish it ones?
My understanding is it's going to reach a point eventually where it will suddenly go, we ran out of time, we've got to finish it.
Which makes the frustration of these side episodes.
And again, they're really fun, they're really sweet.
They're very sweet.
The show just, isn't consistent about, are we in silly side adventure time or are we in progressing the plot time?
Yeah.
It cannot... It refuses to, get into a rhythm of moving the plot.
When characters are like, but I can't bear to let you go, I can't bear to see you go, we're gonna be so sad when you go back to your home dimension. It's that, but it's Disney going, no, don't end the story now.
Right.
Which makes it very frustrating that they then had to rush the rest of it.
Yeah. Did you watch anything else this week?
Not really. I thought I was going to have a big thing to talk about, and then it wasn't. I was like, cool, a documentary about Simon the Sorcerer. I remember playing those games, and it was like a 48-minute recap of the first game's plot. So, yep, cool. I knew that. I played it.
Yep.
The voice acting's worse than I remember, but that's about it. But yeah, that's about all I watched. Well then.
Time for this.
Hey Laura.
What?
We've got a new sponsor.
We got a new sponsor? Tell me about our sponsor.
Well, did you see the NFTs that there were?
I sure did see that they existed.
Right, and you remember, that they were quite exclusive, some of them, very difficult to get.
Oh, I do remember when, celebrities were paying, hundreds of thousands for their disgruntled gorilla NFTs or whatever they were.
Yeah. And you remember, millions of pounds spent, hundreds of thousands of pounds.
Yeah, people being like, oh, this will definitely go up in value.
Yeah, and for a day, it did.
My rare chimp JPEG will skyrocket in value.
But it's not the JPEG you're playing for. It's the
receipt for the JPEG.
Exactly, it's the receipt for the JPEG, and you, like any good tax filing responsible citizen, should keep your receipts because the receipts are back. That's right. Come on down to the Discount Bored Ape Warehouse. We've got them. We've got hundreds of them.
How we got hundreds of them? What's happened? What's occurred?
Well, they have become available.
I'm reading.
Nope. We're not allowed to. They said not to read any of that bit or that bit. Those 18 pages.
What, the bit there that says about loan collateral in the market?
La. Yeah.
Okay, none of that. No one had that. No one had their apes repossessed.
No. None of them.
They all possess their them still.
These are slightly different because the algorithm made them different. Minted. These ones are minty fresh.
So I shouldn't talk about how the bank sold them all off because people couldn't afford their loans.
No. These are all genuine, celebrity previously owned, but original somehow, and brand new Discount Bored Apes that you can get, and you too can have a hexagon profile picture or fucking whatever, and just a bad image of an ape of something.
I too can pretend to be a rich asshole.
Yeah, you can do that. And, you won't have to make somebody whose brand is Stoned Monkey Radio sad if they try and draw a new version of their own avatar because people are like, it's not the bird, it's because it's a bad pixel art. It's like, fuck you,
fuck them.
No, I'm not bitter. Anyway, so you can get the things they're cheap now, and you can pretend to be a fucking 2019 tech bastard.
Look, I know they're our sponsor, and I'm supposed to be encouraging people to go get Discount Bored Apes from the warehouse, but I would pay for a hexagonal picture of your little pixel image.
That's Danny the monkey.
Yeah.
The stoned monkey of stoned monkey.
Yeah, I would go get a stoned monkey rather than one of the sponsor use our sponsor.
the
Yeah,
sponsor.
I'm just gonna come get one of your JPEGs.
278. You can work it out from there.
Discount codes and whatnot.
Inside the boardroom of Supremacy Software.
Hi. So, we love predatory monetization.
Love it.
Love it.
All day
Absolutely
long.
love it. Love making people addicted to spending all their money through fear of missing out and other manipulative tactics.
That is the good shit.
Exactly. But we have recently come under some fire for manipulative practices, you know, the targeting people who have compulsions and getting them to spend money they can't resist, etc.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're trying to push us to, you know, be less predatory.
Right.
But I've been coming up with another solution.
Right. Let's hear it.
So here's what I've been working on.
Right.
I reckon we can get away with just as much abusive monetization.
Yeah. Excellent.
We just put a notice in the game.
Right.
You know, maybe on first boot up, that simply tells people to be less addicted.
Right.
You know,
have you tried simply not being addicted?
Yeah, we'll just put a message up when the game starts. It's something like, hey, a healthy life balance means not being addicted to our video game monetization. So, now you've been informed, it wouldn't be a healthy life choice for you to get addicted to our game. Go outside sometimes, you know. Yeah. So, if you get addicted, it's your fault, not ours.
Yeah,
we did tell you that's not a healthy life choice.
I mean, obviously it's in the EULA, right? But also, like, we are seen to be doing more. Look, we have dissuaded them.
Yeah, we put up a message on screen occasionally that goes, hey, we see your spending pattern indicates you are cripplingly addicted to purchasing on microtransactions.
Good work, well done.
Good work, well done.
But have you simply tried not being addicted while also spending as much money and continuing to play the game?
Are you aware that, you know, debilitating levels of addiction to spending money on loot boxes could be adverse to your finances? Are you aware of that? It could be.
Cool, huh?
But it might not be.
It might not be. Cool.
Take a gamble on it.
Take a gamble on it.
You love taking a gamble on things.
Right. Do you want to bet $50 on the possibility that it isn't?
Yeah. Do you want to bet 50? Yeah. Double down. $100 says that you won't get addicted. You'll be the exception.
The supremacy bucks, though, right? Yeah. It's not like shooty bucks.
Yeah, shooty bucks.
All shooty bucks.
Yeah, shooty bucks.
Yeah.
If it's not called shooty bucks, get the guys downstairs to call them shooty bucks.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know, because I mean, if it works for like the gambling industry, like, gambling. Gamble. We have big prizes. Gamble. Please gamble responsibly.
Exactly. It's like the alcohol people. Drink our drink. It's alcoholic. You love our alcohol. It's so alcoholic. Drink responsibly.
Oh, I always remember it's like, this is the Drink Aware campaign. It's Drink Aware.
Yeah.
I'm aware I'm drinking.
Exactly.
It's 9 a.m.
Loot box aware.
Loot box aware. Are you aware? We have loot boxes.
Yeah. Be aware.
Be aware.
You sure are buying loot boxes.
It would be really cool if you got addicted, but, you know,
Addiction is, by definition, technically bad. I'm not saying you're addicted.
But,
you can stop anytime
bad
you wanted,
used to mean good, so, you know, maybe...
Oh, yeah, addiction, that's bad.
It's a sickness, and, you know, sick is, I believe, what the children still say.
Get down with the sickness.
Down with the sickness.
Get down with
Yeah.
You're a fucking genius.
I know. So, what have you put in your ears?
Again, not a lot.
Yeah.
It's been a week full of secret shit that's been eaten up all the time. I've been continuing to catch up on Welcome to Night Vale when we do our like semi-regular go for a little swim in the morning. I'm like 70-ish episodes in, so I'm almost caught back up to where the first audiobook happens. I'm continuing to really enjoy it still, but again, I maintain what I've been saying for a while. I love Welcome to Night Vale, but I need a weird liminal space to listen to it in. I literally can't listen to it outside of... It used to be listening to this strange town's mysterious, surreal radio station while doing my 5 a.m. walk to work where there was no one around and it was pitch black and it was just me walking for an hour. Now I'm swimming around a swimming pool and, like, you know, the rest of the world doesn't exist. I'm in a swimming pool right now. The world, forget about it. I cannot listen outside of weird liminal spaces, and I'm glad that swimming has created one of those for me, even if that means, like, 2 episodes a week on the weeks that we swim, trying to slowly catch up.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, because I was enjoying it enough, and I was so proud of having made more progress on it, and I kind of stopped dead. But I have been really enjoying the current season of Dice Funk.
Yeah.
Although I am now caught up on that, and there's a bunch of other stuff that I'm just, like, not really listening to anymore. Like, SCP Archive seems to have dropped off a little bit. There have been new episodes, but they've not been super engaging. Someone Dies in This Elevator, I think, is finished now. We are still waiting for Magnus Protocol, which I don't even think is happening until next year.
Yeah. Oh, you know what I've been feeling like revisiting at some point soon, and it's only, I think, like 12 episodes long, so I might do it at some point. And I'm gonna have to remember it's not the name of... it's Within the Wires? Did you ever listen to Within the Wires?
I think so. Maybe I listened to, like, the first episode or something?
Yeah,
Is this the one that's, like, the hypnosis tapes or something?
Kind of. So, each season of Within the Wires, I only really got into the first season. Each season's a self-contained story. But the first season of Within the Wires is a bunch of cassette tapes being provided that are like relaxation and calming tapes that you very quickly get the sense that, like, this is someone locked in some kind of facility being given tapes that are meant to be, like, and calm and relax.
Like
and,
the program.
Yeah, and a little bit be subservient and obedient. And then you start getting these, like, oh, someone's tampering with these tapes and getting messages in that they're not supposed to be. And you start getting, like, the beginnings of there is someone out there who's trying to help me escape through the medium of tapes. It's a
Like program.
Yeah, it's a really interesting story that, compared to the program, less...
Way less terrifying.
Way less terrifying. Way more about, like, slow, ambient world building that, like, slowly pulls back the curtain over maybe 12 episodes.
I feel like I listened to the first season of this and then, like, started listening to the second season, and it was so drastically different. I was just like, yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, that's very much how I was, but I kind of want to go back and re-listen to season 1. I remember really enjoying it, and it's one of those... I just kind of fancy, like, a condensed audio narrative that I can just listen to from start to finish again, and I remember feeling very positive about that one.
Yeah.
What about you? What did you listen to this week?
Yeah, not a lot really, to be honest. I have been listening through, or trying to find, like, the best examples of, like, adventure music and tavern music and boss battle music, because we are, gonna be playing some more Frosthaven soon.
Yeah,
And I need to find some and get them downloaded, because whenever we try and watch them on YouTube, adverts will jump in every time we switch back to the YouTube app from the Forteller app. Like, yes, I wanted to listen to the thing, play that again, okay, and here's more adverts. Like, fuck you, YouTube! You have created a problem and then tried to sell me a solution. I'm not getting YouTube Premium, fuck you. But yeah, lots of, like, ambient music for Go On Adventure. And I'm excited to go on adventure, because we paid a lot for Frosthaven. And we're looking forward to listening to it. You listen to anything else?
No, that's about it for me.
Well then.
Time for this.
Would you look at that? Look in the inbox there. It's that person who's always coming back in to join the COVID trials. They've had so many injections at this point. Look at that. Oh, it's so nice to see people willing to come back and participate. It must mean that we're doing a good job as scientists, that they're willing to keep coming back.
Oh no, you've not been here long at all, have you?
Well, I mean, I've been here 6 months, which I think seems
That
like
is not nearly long enough. You are unaware
Yeah,
You
no,
are unaware of the prophecy.
No, it says right there they've done like 8 different vaccines.
Yes,
They're
and this is
so
why
well
we must. This
vaccinated.
is why we must stop them. 8, more than 8 is too many. There is the prophecy of the neurodivergent singularity who will heal all disease, produce clean renewable energy, and show humanity the way to a glorious socialist utopia.
Well, that sounds perfect. Why would we want to not do that?
We work for a pharmaceutical company. They'd pour us a concrete lab coat and throw us in a British river for even attempting it.
British River. Ooh.
Right. We cannot let this keep going.
We're very sorry you've got too much Myrna or platelets or something. Too many platelets. General, we have dealt with the alien menace.
That's good. That's good.
Obviously, we shot them down.
Yes,
We have taken their space craft into storage.
Yes.
We have told everyone that it was some swamp gas that they saw.
Of course.
Not to worry about the surface-to-air missiles or the crash or the screaming of the 3 alien life forms we found. We have imprisoned them for a while. We've now dissected them so we can learn all about their anatomy.
Oh, fascinating.
And we plan to take their ship apart in the hopes of advancing our technology
Indeed.
to a much higher level.
Good
So-
work. Good work.
Meanwhile, on Blordox 3...
Did you hear about those arsehole billionaires that went on a space safari to the Milky Way?
Oh, yes, the ones that didn't even have cloaking tech.
Yes, apparently got shot down by the primitive dominant species of some backwater planet, and they got vivisated. La 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 la.
I feel no sympathy for these billionaires.
Eat the rich, or, send them to Earth.
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 Earth, I think that's it.
Do you know what I want to see more of?
What do you want to see more of?
Racial Justice Warriors.
Racial Justice Warriors?
Yeah.
Alright, Harry.
Alright, Barry, how you doing?
Yeah, not bad, mate. You been up so much?
I've been, I've been watching some of the summer stuff going on around some Pride events going on recently.
Oh, yeah. Anything?
Yeah, it's good to see people out in the streets having a good old protesty shout and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
Good seeing that.
Yeah.
But got me thinking about a thing that I think about every now and then.
Yeah.
So I've been thinking about anger, and anger is a very healthy thing, I think, for people in oppressed minority groups to feel toward their oppressor. I think
It's
that,
understandable, and
yeah.
we can't go around just policing people for you're not protesting right. You get into the realms of respectability politics at that
Yeah.
point. That doesn't know any good.
Yeah, you can be critical of someone's actions maybe not being helpful optically, but I think that, anger is a motivating emotion, and it is a justified emotion. It is an emotion that gets people doing shit, and it's an emotion that gets people fighting back against oppression. But, there have historically been many groups who have been sort of demonized for being angry about their oppression, We see it with sort of black people being demonized for being angry about their oppression because it was sort of used to fuel tropes of black people who are inherently more angry.
Yeah.
We've seen it with like lots of different groups historically, and one group we're seeing it with particularly at the moment is trans women. We're seeing it sort of weaponized against the trans community generally, but I think specifically trans women. You see it in this very insidious way of if a trans woman is angry that they are being oppressed and, has a bit of a shout and goes, I'm fucking fed up with being oppressed, the response from an anti-trans lot will be to point at them and go,
See the violent, angry man.
Anger, that's a man emotion. You can't be a woman unless you only feel girl emotions like sad or sweet or
Cooking.
Cooking is indeed a woman emotion on their list. Yeah, exactly. It feels like you know what? If it's not an emotion that Princess Peach had in that 1DS game where her superpower was girl emotions, then you're not allowed to have it.
Right.
And this is the thing, is because, it's not an original playbook, villainizing the anger of an oppressed class and using it as an excuse of why they shouldn't be allowed rights. Again, going back to the example of, black people were, demonized with the thread of, oh, the fact they're angry means that they're dangerous and shouldn't be given rights.
Yeah.
You know, we see...
and in fact, we will, take away certain rights. Like,
Indeed.
We need to stop the Black Panthers driving around with guns because they are making our police feel somewhat intimidated. So
Indeed,
we now
yeah.
need to control how they have guns in the US. And also, we need to look at the fact, the way that not only does it get policed, but history loves to get rewritten by these same people. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
well, the civil rights movement was always very peaceful, and
No,
they
it
got
fucking
everything.
wasn't.
Well, let's not forget, like, Nina Simone has talked about, like, openly being, like, ready to just, unload rifles at white nationalists and
And, like-
police and so forth.
Yeah.
They talk about how the suffragettes won the right to vote. They rarely mention the bombings and the arson and all the other things.
And again, there's problems with the suffragettes. They were,
Oh, yes.
definitely fighting for rights for a specific type of womanhood.
White
But again,
women.
I think the suffragettes are like a good example to point to, though, because you do not see retroactively today people saying the suffragettes, because they used anger and violence to get their political aims, were less woman because of it.
Yeah.
We historically look back and go, they were angry, they were being oppressed, and they used violence to achieve what they needed to.
Oh, yeah.
But that is not afforded to trans women, and
Oh,
I think that it's going to be a very long time before that is awarded to trans women.
Agreed.
Because, there is such an easy fallback of, if you express the same anger that so many oppressed minority groups before you have expressed, you will very specifically have your identity, no longer validated. It will be no longer accepted because, you're displaying maleness as if women can't be angry about shit. And again, it's not a unique experience for trans women, but it is an experience that trans women are very specifically in the eye of the storm of right now.
Oh, yes, yeah. Terribly frustrating. And, I think it's why when Trans Pride in Brighton a couple of years ago, they had a whole thing where, because all that stuff kicked off at London Pride with the turfs at the front of the march and, being allowed to march ahead of the march and the what was considered later, bad optics for that, that Trans Pride Brighton made the effort of like, okay, first of all, we're going to get a bunch of L with a T and G with a T groups down, and then at that point, if any transphobes do show up and try and pull a similar stunt, they will be the ones to interact with them. It's like, please, no one, from the actual march itself get involved with that. These are the people who will be confronting that, because at that point, their arguments fall apart.
Yeah, exactly.
In theory, I mean, we've seen how the transphobes aren't above just going, well, all your handmaidens because you're giving into the TRAs or whatever the fuck else they're slinging slurs at trans people right now. Yeah, terribly frustrating. Where's your hug?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Good hug, mate. Good hug.
Good hug.
Right, I think I'll have a little nap.
Sounds like a plan.
Nice.
So, Laura,
Yes.
you're one of them internet people,
I
right?
do stuff on the internet.
Well, where will people find all the things that you do?
People can find all the things I do at Laura K Buzz pretty much everywhere. Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Patreon, that's the one that pays the bills, Blue Sky, Mastodon, Threads, all the places. Laura K Buzz, you find me, Laura K Buzz everywhere. What about you?
What about me? I can be found at linkter.ee/Janiac, Janeiac. I make t-shirts and music and edit this podcast, and I do streaming, and you can find VODs of those streams. You can help me out at patreon.com/stonedmonkeyradio for as little as $1 a month. You can help me justify 76-hour week, constant exhaustion, and a desire to do things for other people's entertainment. Also, if you head over to stonemonkeyradio.blog, I wrote a wrote a review. I
You
finally did a new
did.
review after like 3 years of paying for a website and not actually uploading anything to it. Yeah, I did a review for Dredge. I talk about like the things I enjoyed about it and some of the lovely art for it. And I am glad to be doing more of that, and I hope to keep going with that in the near future. And Laura,
Yeah.
I think that's everything. So will you sing us out, please, darling?
Until next time, be a stranger.